Hello everybody. On the 8th of November 2023, 3 years after delivering the famous Shusha "You are free" speech, which signaled then imminent Armenian capitulation and Azerbaijani victory in the Second Karabakh War, President Aliyev attended a historic military parade in the city of Khankendi, over which Baku restored its sovereignty on the 20th of September this year. Grand in scope and eminently consequential in import, this very occasion, which commemorated the 3rd anniversary of Victory Day, signifies something beyond mere words. No panegyric or encomium could convey the true scale of the grandeur that Khankendi witnessed that day. And it is not our intention to produce one. The scope is too vast to be fleshed out in words. The images showing the members of the Azerbaijani armed forces pounding the central square of Khankendi, the city which had been the epicenter of Armenian separatism for decades, spoke volumes. It is the self-same square from whence the likes of Kocharian, Gokasyan, Harutyunyan and Vardanyan used to deliver flamingly defiant but ultimately futile speeches, misleading local Armenians, making them believe that the idea of Azerbaijan restoring its control over the territory is a mere figment of Baku's imagination. Aliyev's address at the parade was of historic significance, not just in timing and place, but also in its content. He, from the vantage point of 2023, reflected on the developments preceding the Second Karabakh War and the period between 2020 and 2023. Prior to the war, Azerbaijan had followed the time-honored principle of, if you want peace, prepare for war, augmenting its military capabilities. Whilst actively engaged in peace negotiations, spearheaded by the OSCE Minsk group, hoping for a breakthrough, Baku repeatedly insisted that a military solution was not off the table. The OSCE co-chairs did not heed Azerbaijan's warnings and did not exert pressure on Armenia, supporting a false equivalence between the occupier and occupied. The mediators used to say that Aliyev was not serious about the military solution and that he was merely trying to placate his local audience. They were deeply wrong. Azerbaijan had also worked hard to enhance its legal argument based on the right to self-defense over the years. Numerous documents at different international institutions were adopted, reiterating Azerbaijan's territorial integrity with reference to the famous 4 resolutions of the United Nations Security Council. Consequently, the Second Karabakh War was absolutely inevitable. With all imaginable peaceful avenues being explored and exhausted, Azerbaijan was compelled to resort to military means to put an end to the Armenian occupation. The war resulted in the restoration of Azerbaijani territorial integrity, but the mission was not yet completed at the juncture. Many in Azerbaijan were worried back then as to the fate of Khankendi and other territories over which Baku had not yet restored its de facto sovereignty. There were also some considerable concerns as to the presence of the Russian peacekeepers in Karabakh, some predicting ominous consequences. During his speech at the parade, Aliyev reflected on this, stating that it would not be judicious of him to reveal the plans at the time. It's very clear now that Azerbaijan had a plan with several scenarios being considered to achieve the full restoration of sovereignty over Karabakh. Within a time period of less than 3 years, Baku strengthened its positions along the conditional state border and also in Karabakh. From March to August 2022, Azerbaijan, where a series of operations in response to the illegal presence of the separatist junta based in Khankendi, assumed control over the commanding heights surrounding the temporary zone of the Russian contingent. The September 2022 border escalation gave Azerbaijan leverage along the conditional state border, which ultimately forced Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan to recognize Azerbaijan's territorial integrity in Prague in October of the selfsame year. On the 23rd of April 2023, by installing a border checkpoint at the entrance to the Lachun Road, after months of tensions, claims and counterclaims, Baku finally put a final touch to the restoration of its territorial integrity, assuming full control of its borders. And then, in May 2023, Aliyev reiterated his demands for the dissolution of the separatist junta, simultaneously offering an amnesty. The summer was eventful and mostly centered around the security risk involving the use of the Lachun Road, with the Ardam-Khankendi Road being suggested as a viable alternative. The gutlessness of Armenia, the recalcitrance of the separatist junta, led to the climax in September. And finally, on the 20th of September, Azerbaijan restored its sovereignty over the rest of Karabakh, subsequent to counter-terrorism measures described in the West as a lightning offensive. The trophies displayed during the parade on the 8th of November, a very tiny amount of what was captured, show only too well how militarized that grey zone had been and how inevitable the application of legitimate force by Azerbaijan on the ground was. As of November 2023, Azerbaijan has completed its mission, and from now on it will continue to strengthen its military capabilities using its upper hand to achieve a peace deal with Armenia. As Aliyev himself said, Azerbaijan does not want another war. It does not seek to have any territorial claim against Armenia. Azerbaijan's message to Armenia is very clear, and it says, in terms of accomplishing our main aim, we are done and dusted. If you want to benefit from the opportunities that emerged, you're more than welcome. If not, go and wallow in a quagmire of your own making and at your own peril. Baku's vision of a future Armenia is not a failed weak state prone to external influences, but one in peace with Azerbaijan, able to protect its own national interests and integrated into the nexus of regional communication lines. The future seems bright for Azerbaijan, so it can be for Armenia too. Why not indeed? Thank you.